Hey everybody, welcome to Here's Out. I am Patrick. Sorry for blowing your ears
And,
out there.
I'm Paul. How's it going?
He's Paul. We are doing a good old show that we tried way back. We haven't done one of these live yet, I don't think. We've done a couple of hundred live shows. We could have gotten this wrong by now. But we're going to go through what we've been watching. We're going to give you the do's and don'ts of the stuff we've happened to watch. So, what do your YouTubers that talk all manner of crap about entertainment actually watch in their spare time as entertainment? None of this stuff is being watched as homework for shows. This is all stuff that we watched just because we'd be watching it. So we want to hear from you folks, you kind people out in the comments, what you've been watching. So get it in there, get into the comments, let us know. But because me and Paul, we've both had a tough week at work. I think my hair has given that away. Probably I didn't do any prep. I just sat down in a chair. But both Paul and I were supposed to do some show notes beforehand. I don't know what order we're doing anything in, Paul, but what I do know is we both talked about stuff that we can use for SEO, and it isn't what I've just put on screen. Give me one moment. There are two trailers that came out today that we would have done a real clickbaity, SEO friendly show about, and that is Red Notice and Uncharted. And now we've mentioned them just so we can legitimately put them in our tags for SEO purposes. After the show, please go watch the Uncharted trailer and the Red Notice trailer. Red Notice, a film with famous people that help your SEO, such as The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds. Actually, can you believe they got all three of the biggest stars in the world really right now together? And then Tom Holland of Uncharted, which is also a PlayStation game. How many more SEO bits can I do? I think that about covers it.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing. You saw the Uncharted. We saw the Uncharted trailer. Like, quick first thoughts.
Okay, but we cannot derail our own show just by being
No.
cheap
Well, we
SEO
did watch
whores.
the trailers.
We did
so
watch the trailer.
Technically,
Yeah, that's what we did instead of getting prepared for the show. My quick thoughts. I'm into it. I think it'll be a bit of crack. I said this to you already. I'm still bummed that we're not getting the one like 5, 6, 7 years ago with maybe Nathan Fillion that they even did the short with. But you know what? Fair play. I'm glad they finally got around to making a movie. I can definitely see some of the we're going to have video gamey moments where you're jumping from pallet to pallet, even if in this case it's hanging out the back of an airplane. Also, before I throw it over to you, the red car is a Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing. I'm a big fan of people who put those in their movies. It's bound to be a replica because they cost a lot. And Paul, your thoughts?
yeah. I'm glad that this movie's been rumbling around the kind of like film production kind of like holes. So I'm glad that they finally got it done. Tom Holland's going to be an interesting younger Nathan Drake. I think is going to be really cool. But yeah, I am also of the mind that Nathan Fillion would have made a perfect Nathan Drake in his prime. Kind of thing. Mark Wahlberg is probably the most interesting casting choice as Sully, who is Nathan Drake's kind of partner, who's a kind of older gentleman.
As I just described him a few minutes ago, he's an uncle figure.
Yeah.
Not a father figure, but more of an uncle figure.
Yeah, like, and he's got his own kind of really. He's a really good personality for a character kind of thing in a game.
Yeah.
So like, it'd be interesting to see him translate onto the movie screen. Yeah. So and then definitely there's a whole bunch of game elements, movie scenes that are definitely coming into this. Like, so I'm just wondering if they're going to play off the whole like, yeah, Nathan Drake is weirdly denser than he's meant to be because everything he runs or climbs on breaks. So that'll be an interesting.
And Tom Holland's not that heavy looking a dude. Before we completely cheat and have done a description and title for a video that we don't do, we're going to go back to what we've been watching. Technically, we have been watching trailers for the SEO friendly Tom Holland Rock and other famous people starring Red Notice and Uncharted. I wonder if it'll work. Probably won't. Anyway, Paul, I accidentally had What If up. We've both been watching it, but we're not going to talk about it because we did a whole other episode about it 2 weeks ago. So please, folks, if you're interested, go check that out. What If ended, and we had many thoughts. So, Paul, we've got a choice to talk about TV shows and films and all the rest. I think mostly we'll be talking about TV shows, as is kind of traditional with this. But can I take one quick sojourn to kick us off, where I throw out some films? Not
Yeah.
I've seen Bond in the cinema, and I saw Venom 2 in the cinema. I'm only talking about stuff I've seen at home. And what I've just thrown up on screen is still from The Untouchables and from Heat. Because recently it was a case of watch things that you haven't seen for quite a while but know are good. And I have to
Hmm.
say, The Untouchables is so much better than I even remember. And I've seen that film maybe 20 times. I don't know why I don't watch it yearly. And now that I've done this to myself, I'll probably watch The Untouchables yearly again. Heat, on the other hand, really well made movie, but it hasn't stood the test of time insofar as it is a masterpiece in some ways, but it actually drags too long
Yeah.
and kind of it made me sad afterwards. It just kind of made me sad going, I'd remembered that as better than it was.
Mm.
Have you
Yeah, I
seen
get that.
both actually? Have you seen The Untouchables? Tell me you've seen The Untouchables. And if you
I've
haven't,
seen the Untouchables and Heat. I haven't seen them in a long time, so this will probably kick me off to go back and watch them.
get yourself The
Yeah, I think
Untouchables, man. It's so good.
so.
So quickly then to just because I promise I won't take up time. I wanted to put two other films that I watched recently that couldn't be more different, but also sit very funny on screen beside each other. Paycheck and Primer. Um, yeah, I thought that'd get a reaction from you. They're the ones that I really wanted to throw up. Paycheck, again, I had a nostalgia thing of I remember that being a really clever premise. It's based on a Philip K. Dick novel, I believe. Um, is
Short,
it?
yeah,
I think it
it's
is.
either short story or it's a short story or it's a book. I can't remember which one.
And like it was Ben Affleck back in his prime. It's a movie that everybody forgets. And the thing I'd forgotten most about it wasn't like I didn't think it was brilliant in my head, but I forgot just how I don't know how much smelling salts or glue. I don't know what they were giving Uma Thurman, but there are some scenes, and I'm not kidding. If you have a copy of this, or if you have access to seeing this, or even just YouTube a clip of Uma Thurman Paycheck, she will be staring at the camera like someone's just hit her with a trank dart. She'll be like, "Hey, it's weird." I don't know if you can blame direction as much as maybe she might have cottoned on that this wasn't going to be a great movie, so she timed out early. Primer, on the other hand, some people find it incredibly what's that word? You know, dense and just untangleable, etc. I enjoy the hell out of it, so couldn't be more different, but both having a little bit of a I don't want to give away either for if anybody hasn't seen them. A little bit of a mysterious relationship with the passage of time.
I enjoy Primer. I have to say because the amount of times that I've watched people go yeah, Primer's a fairly kind of like complex film in the timeline, um, and I enjoy people who go yeah, it's not that complicated, and I'm just like all right, okay, so
Let's
let's
talk through this.
number. Let's yeah, and it's fun because start numbering things, and then they start going, yeah, but that's number no,
Yeah,
and then you're just like, yeah, see, it isn't as clear cut as you think.
nowhere near
Like,
as. Yeah, and that's what makes it enjoyable, I think. And impenetrable was the word I was trying to think of. It came to me. Some people think it's impenetrable, as in either like you say, it'll bounce off people and they go, oh, I think I get that, and they think time travel happened once. Oh, I gave away the thing. But it's old enough now. I haven't spoiled it. I hope for anyone.
no,
But yeah, it's either flown over your head or else it's stuck in your head, and you're like, okay, so that was the third iteration for him, but the fourth for him, and where would the car have even been parked? Like when you start thinking of it at that level, you're like, oh crap, this is a cool film. Also, made without a massive budget. It just goes to show you don't need money to make the screen dance. So Paul, that's me diving in. Do you want to say hi to our guests? And have any of our guests actually said what they've been watching of late?
no. So, pop culture says Robert De Niro double feature, which is great. He watched he watches Heat yearly. Untouchables is awesome, awesome. Heat, I agree, thought it was okay, but didn't warrant the glowing praise. I enjoyed Heat, but like I'm gonna rewatch it and maybe tweak
It's
things
don't get
going
me wrong,
forward.
it's still a great movie. It's just I'd forgotten kind of how long and where it drags sometimes, and I guess over time you sort of forget that.
Yeah, I get that kind of thing. I know there's a couple of movies that I know that I'm just like, oh, I forgot about this part, and I hated it. I saw Paycheck twice in the theater. I guess had nothing better to do that year. See, this is the thing: is
Pop culture,
Paycheck
man.
came.
Fair play to you, because when it came out, I probably would have seen it twice intentionally, because I was just into anything that was like that at the time. Now I'm such a big picky person who thinks they know better.
Well, my thing is that Paycheck when it came out was actually like seen as kind of like one of those because it came out just around the time of like maybe a little bit earlier of Minority Report,
Yeah,
which is also
it
based
would have
on
been. Yeah,
which is also based on kind of Asimov and Philip K. Dick stuff. So like it was seen as another one of those kind of
yeah,
like ooh yeah kind of thing because like don't forget like what is it? Total Recall is based on a Philip K. Dick book. Like
yeah. Well, look, I have no problem. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. It should be on silent, but I guess it's on vibrate. I have no problem with Paycheck as a movie. Genuinely, I don't. Paul Giamatti's even in it, and I was like, oh god, I forgot it was him.
yeah.
Uh, it's not as good as its promise. It's still fine. It's a good little watch. But really, I promise you, the next time you watch it, just watch Uma Thurman. And you'll be like, wow, I feel like doing a supercut of just her, any of her non-speaking moments. Because it's like they surprised her with a camera. She's like, oh, I'm on now?
Just dead eyes the camera constantly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I do remember that scene where she's in like the harponics, like section, and she's just like
Yeah. I think
she's
it's
just
supposed
like
to be like playfully sexy, or the two of them are supposed to be falling in love through eye contact, but it felt more like hypnotism.
yeah, yeah. I get that a lot, or I get that a lot. I
You
meant
get that a lot. Freudian slip. So, Paul, who have you been trying to hypnotize lately? In fact, Paul, what have you been watching? What do you want to kick out first from your list? I've got it open
Well,
here.
let's go because there's some movies that I've been watching as
Oh,
well. So
cool.
I'll go through a couple of those ones. There is which goes. So I watched. I'm halfway through Infinite, which is that movie that Mark Wahlberg and Memory. It came out on Amazon Prime. It seems good so far. I said that Mark Wahlberg is the least interesting character out of the entire movie, which is sadness. But oh well. I watched Housebound, which is a New Zealand horror flick, which is actually really good. I really enjoyed that kind of thing. It's a horror thriller kind of thing, I guess. But it's also comedy, I guess. But it's
Okay.
very good if you can
Well,
catch it.
Bruce called
Um,
out that it's spooky season, so it's scary movie is the current vibe. So you're on point there.
yeah, I'm going to go watch Halloween Kills, which is the next part of the Halloween thing. So we're gonna have to redraw the map of the Halloween movies, I think,
Oh, please
because
no.
Halloween follows on from Halloween One, and Halloween Kill follows on from that one.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if there was any more space in that graphic. Like I ended up warping time just to fit things in there.
it's just gonna
It'll be a
become
fun
a
challenge.
it'll become a Mobius tube. And
Yes.
there you go. That's an infinite joke there for you.
There you go.
Gonna watch Ninth Gate. I know it's what we've been watching, but I'm
Is
gonna
that
watch
the
Ninth Gate.
Antonio Banderas one?
It's the
Or am I
one
thinking of
with
13th something? The Ninth
there's
Gate was
13th Warrior.
yeah. Was the Ninth Gate the who was in that?
That's Johnny Depp.
Right, know
It's
which one
about
it is now.
it's the one about trying to find the books. It was directed by Roman Polanski.
Oh,
So
I've
I was
never
just
seen
trying to
it.
remember.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah, it's good. I always enjoy it. It's I've got it, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to put it into the list of things I'm gonna watch this Spooktober session kind of thing. But I've also watched The Craft because I know that The Craft's legacy has come out on.
You watched the
Uh,
original Craft.
yeah,
Great, because I'm going to rewatch that. Same myself and my partner. We're going to rewatch Craft and then watch the new Craft,
the legacy one. Yeah,
the Crafties.
the reimagining, but also not reboot, but reimagining Craft.
Yeah, the rewarming of a dinner of days past.
Yeah,
It'll be a
Like,
bit. I'm. You know what? It's a bit of fun. Did the original stand up? Because I loved The Craft way back when I was the perfect age to love a movie like The Craft.
it is very. There's a thing called the Covenant, which is a male version of lower budget version of The Craft, which I have watched several times, and I'm just like, this is how it felt. I watched The Craft. I was just like, this is a cult classic. I fucking love this. This is great. Then I remembered watching The Covenant, and halfway through going, why the fuck am I watching this? I should just watch The Craft.
There you
It's
go.
way better, kind of thing. So like,
The Covenant,
um,
like a male cheaper redo of The Craft. I'm casting
yeah,
it in my
it's
head, and it's like Skeet Ulrich, and
no one you'll know.
oh right, okay, so it's not even people who would have been off the boil at the time. Okay,
No, it's not even. I don't. I've never seen them, and I've never seen them since. So
well,
I'm sure. I'm sure someone will look it up and tell me that this person's now really famous, but
yeah,
I don't remember them in the
it's just
comments.
that was Sylvester Stallone before you recognized him.
So. Yeah.
I before I kick over to your TV shows though, because the chat is humming away, and thank you very much. But you're going to see Halloween Kills, and Popculture, not spoiling it, has said you can tell that there's another one coming. In fact, I think it was already confirmed that there's another one coming even before
Yeah.
they released this. So, yeah, they're not going to stop making Halloween films until, quite literally, I run out of crayon in Paint Shop or Photoshop to make stuff.
This is the really funny thing. When they did Halloween, the newest one, not Halloween Kills, but the newest one with Curtis coming back, they said, "Yeah, we're done. This is the last one we'll do. This is," and then it became so popular that they were just like, "I'm sure we can milk this again."
This is the
'Cause
last
it's just
one
like,
we'll do if it
really-
flops.
Yeah, like it seems like it's that new asterisk now with the film. So, yeah.
Instead
I
of
was gonna
like batteries sold separately, it's like unless we make money, it's like yeah,
Yeah,
last one
like
unless we make money.
yeah, these yeah, just every like right at the end of the credits, it's actually just someone like saying like a whole bunch of disclaimers really really quickly. But if you
Exactly, the
reverse
Micro
it,
Machines
just
guy.
says it. Yeah. Poltergeist and Hush. Poltergeist is really good. It's a classic.
It's
Hush.
a top 20 movie for me. Poltergeist scared the crap out of me when I was a kid too, but I've watched Poltergeist way too many times for a guy that doesn't like scary movies. It was part of my childhood. Not the follow-ups, the original.
So yeah, there's Hush, which is also really really good. There's a new movie out, which is the second one of a really good one. It's a horror movie. I'll find it before I just
Ooh.
take us for 5 minutes. But it's a good follow up kind of thing. I'm also going to be watching Quiet Place 2 soon. So
Looking forward to hearing what you think there.
So I'm a little bit annoyed about not being able to see that. And also there's a new Day of the Dead out, which I'm also going to see. So
Is
they're
there?
the horror movies. Yeah.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'm gonna get us back to
Yeah.
TV and all that good stuff. I'll go first actually then because you've just done movies. I'm gonna go for something that I'm going to not suggest you do or do not watch, but I'm going to give you enough information that you can decide for yourself. Why The Last Man? And here's the thing, folks. Why The Last Man, which is on, for us, Disney Plus, because it's in Star. For our American friends, it'll be on FX/Hulu, I guess. A very, very simple premise. I can get it out of the way really, really quickly. If you have a Y chromosome, you died all of a sudden. The whole world, Y chromosome, died. So vast, men all over the world gone. Basically, the world is left with women, for lack of a better way to say the shorthand. So, interesting premise. Okay, first episode. I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like they're going to do this too badly. But put it this way, I'm now a full episode behind, as in I skipped a whole week because I just started losing interest because it's not quite there, but also because I felt they're stretching this one out. They're stretching this one out. I'm going to come back and I'm going to watch the last of it in bulk. But as of yesterday, I've heard they're not being picked up for the second season, which is what, they're doing the whole, well, we're shopping it round and we'll see if another network picks it up. Netflix may well pick it up, but they won't be given the luxury of budget time or anything else, which is what Star would have given them, or Disney in this case. So I'm going to say enter at your own risk. Why The Last Man? Interesting. Not bad. Curious. But it's the first of my kind of... I was falling away from it anyway, so I don't mind if they don't make a second season.
I get that, yeah, because it's based on a graphic novel. It's based on a graphic novel, which is based on probably like several other different like ideas of Last Man on Earth kind of thing. But yeah, I heard that it was only been only been dropped for one season, which has gotten me more interested in it probably than the actual TV series did. So I'm probably going to watch it once it finishes, and just out of morbid curiosity to kind of go, how bad was it?
It's not bad. Like I will stand up for it. Weirdly, as a guy that's picking it as my bogey pick, it's actually not bad. The lead actor, just not good enough. Not good enough at all. Or either that it was written and directed not well enough for him. Also, I have a difficulty with one thing. They're like, okay, all men die instantly. There's absolute chaos around the world. It's like, yes, but they turn it into zombie apocalypse so fast that you're like, this doesn't add up. It starts immediately feeling surreal rather than just unreal. And you're like, nah, no. Is it because you want the Walking Dead aesthetic? What are you doing here? They missed chances to deal with things they could have dealt with. It just, the whole thing feels like a missed opportunity. I'm fine if this one fails and someone has a go again in a few years, because I think this would have been a great learning experience. But yeah, I'm putting it on my watch it if you feel like it list.
Okay. Yeah, no, it seems like a really good idea just to kind of get it. Like, it's an interesting one to just be like, yeah, it was a dud, kind of thing. So I don't have many of those. Many of those actually. So.
Well, from the list that you sent me, one of the things that you're doing a rewatch is something I just mentioned. So should I pull it?
Is it the Walking Dead? Yeah, I'm rewatching The Walking Dead. And this is the thing is, I dropped off probably mid-season, but that's because I just oversaturated myself, kind of thing. But I'm rewatching it with my partner, who is deathly problems with zombies.
Okay.
So she's just like, if I watch it with you, I'm a lot braver because you just go, I wouldn't do that. I just do this. And like I go, oh yeah, that is a smarter idea. So she's watching zombies with me. So yeah, it's a really good season one. I keep forgetting that season one's only like 6 episodes. It's really weird. Definitely feels like it was kind of one of those things where it's just like, don't know if we're gonna get another one of these. So here's 6 episodes, and it was just like, oh, it's strangely popular, and then go on. But
I've never got round to it because it just went on too long. I was waiting for it to end, and then I'd watch the whole lot, and that was like 5 years ago. And they're still going. So when it eventually does end, I will probably get around to watching it.
Last season's this year.
Yeah.
So kind of thing. But yeah, it's one of those things where I've read the graphic novel, I've watched it halfway through. It veers and takes from the graphic novel as much as it wants to and stuff like that, which I really appreciate, kind of thing, because it's a whole new story. It's mostly a good new story kind of thing, so it's good kind of thing. So cool. I'm interested in seeing how further it goes into Strange Land,
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to your Walking Dead review when they do finally finish it, so I'll know whether or not I really want to go back and watch what will be, 11 seasons at that stage, or 10 seasons or something. So
yeah, so I think it's 10, 11 seasons. Yeah.
Well, I'm just checking the comments here while I flick over to something that I'll recommend rather than lambast. Bruce says, watching a couple of good shorts recently from the BBC. Time, which is a prison drama which I haven't watched. The Northwater, which I remember seeing the trailer for, thinking I should and will check that out. And Popculture's Watch Ted Lasso, or Lasso, depending on where you are. Um, Kind of dying to see it. It came up when we were talking about Apple TV. Don't have Apple TV. Dying to see good old Ted because I'm a big Jason Sudeikis fan.
Yeah.
There may be another way to watch it that doesn't involve Apple TV, but I'm not going to say that right here for legal reasons. So I'm glad to hear that you're loving it. You got through 5 episodes already. Um, Miss Cupcake says I'm watching through The Walking Dead right now for the first time. I have an absolute blast. Okay, well there's a vote of confidence. Maybe I should get to it before it ends. Although if I start watching now, by the time I catch up, it'll be over anyway because I've got so many seasons to do.
That is true. There's some great characters and great character developments in it. There's great moments in it that I really enjoy seeing and stuff. So like, and it's I get, but I as I said, I watched it halfway through. Kind of was just like I got to drop off of this because I'm getting saturated. So
Gotcha.
it's really good.
Well, I'm gonna try and throw some positivity in before I read any more comments as well because I feel bad about starting with Why the Last Man and saying maybe don't, because the one thing that I will say to you tonight, Paul, if you only take one thing away from what I say, watch Only Murders in the Building. Only Murders in the Building is like Martin Short. I think is my spirit animal. If I had to choose, I love this show. I love this show because it's my kind of thing. It's a little bit different. It's wonderfully whimsical. It's you remember the way I went nuts for The Good Place a few years ago? It came out and I just ran around telling everybody after 2 episodes, please watch this because they don't make TV like this, and I want it to do well. And that first season of The Good Place, I will stand behind forever. I think it was truly innovative and interesting. I think Only Murders in the Building. It took charm, squeezed it into a diamond-sized form, and then transferred that to a digital streaming service. You've got Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, Paul doing something close to our own hearts, and that's not trying to catch a murder, but doing a podcast. There's nothing not to love about this. Anybody out there that's seen it, let me know what you think. Paul, have you got round to even starting this yet? It's not over.
Not.
I have 2 queued up, one from last week, one from this week for this weekend, because we decided to give ourselves a big treat and watch a couple of Only Murders in the Building together.
No, I haven't gotten into it yet. So I'll definitely take a look at that one because I haven't heard anything about it, which is interesting.
It's
very rare that I.
Adorable.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's generally I hear about things and I'm just like, nah, I'm not bothered, or I'm like into the backlog, into the
on the massive list
closet, into the closet of things that are I just open, let one of them fall out and close it again, kind of thing.
Well, let me sell it to you really quickly then. Art Deco building where the 3 main characters don't know each other. A murder happens. They all realize that they have one thing in common, and that is that all 3 of them are addicted to listening to this particular murder podcast, where somebody does a telling of a murder, and they love that. So then they decide to do their own podcast and solve the murder in their own building, and it's just about that simple. Except it's not, because it's wonderful.
It's an interesting concept. I think you've got. I think you've. I'll give you $1 million for. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think. Yeah, I definitely think that's worth a listen or watch.
A bit of both. I'll pull it down and throw over to your next one after checking the comments, because I can see Brew has commented, The Walking Dead is brilliantly inconsistent. That is the number one thing I've heard. It's quality in especially later seasons, I think, goes on quite the journey of brilliant to not great.
I'm interested in the kind of. Sorry, I'm just reading some of these comments, which is mostly just, unfortunately, I couldn't get into the OnlyFans.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Do you know what? I kind of get that. It definitely won't be everybody's cup of tea, but it also won't be everybody's thing every day. It's the sort of thing that you want to catch when you're in the mood for it, I reckon.
I guess that's like a loss kind of thing. There's a fair amount of things that I've watched where I'm just like, it's not today. The following, I think, is the one with Kevin Bacon as a serial killer.
Right.
That's one that I was just like, I'm gonna watch one of these episodes today, and then I'm gonna spend like a week and a half watching everything else to try and catch myself out of that horrible mood. And then one of the only shows that made me physically angry at a character, kind of thing. So I was just like, I better leave this kind of a week and a half distance between episodes, just because I'll end up punching the screen or something.
Okay.
So
Well, on that rather tense note, what else that you've sent me today do you want me to pull up?
I'll go for the West Wing. I'll go through the list in order, kind of thing. So
Okay.
I'm rewatching the West Wing. West Wing. I
Oh,
went
it's a good choice.
at the start. At the start of the lockdown, at the start of the darkest timeline, I watched The Wire. Rewatched The Wire. I've been
Can I get a wee bit
watching,
more
like,
mic off you? Sorry, I've just checked the
Sorry.
levels. Oop.
I've been watching. I've been watching The Wire since the lockdown, the first lockdown happened. So I was just like, I'm gonna. I've been rewatching kind of clips from the newsroom, which just kind of went. I need an Aaron Sorkin kind of injection. So I was just like, I'll go back and watch West Wing, because I haven't watched West Wing in a long time. So I'm up to like season 4. I started like probably about a month ago.
That's
'Cause
really
it's
good
just-
going, because what a lot of people don't realize, I did the full watch through about 2 years ago, and it took about 4 months, I think. But man, those early seasons are back in the day when a TV run isn't none of your 12 or 16 or even 18 episodes. These are 24 and 20. I think it was 26 was their longest, maybe 24 episode
Yeah.
run, the standard. So you're talking one season is kind of like 2 seasons of TV now.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like it's a fairly long running season, like, and then it goes for like 6 or 7 seasons. So like, yeah, it doesn't slow down. Though I am questioning. So here's the thing: should I stop when Aaron Sorkin left?
No.
Because I really don't like the non-Aaron Sorkin episode, or like.
Well,
Seasons.
don't forget the man came back, you know?
I know, but
But no, I think, and I'm just a completionist in that respect. I still think that there's some good story told, particularly for some of the let's say middle cast characters. The ones that are not top billing but not just side players.
yeah.
Yeah, even the bad West Wing is good, if you know what I mean. It's terrible. That's how good that show was for me. That even at their lower end of stuff, they were still better than a lot of other things. So,
Yeah, I gotcha.
although the amount of time, if you're gonna choose a reason to cut yourself off and save yourself 2 months of watching, then maybe.
Yeah. So that's my only thing. Yeah, I might. I don't know. I'll finish it, or I'll finish up to the Aaron Sorkin non-episode seasons, and then I'll maybe see what else is in the backlog, and be just like, oh, this is really kind of drawing me towards it, kind of thing. So
Well, you'll be doing your rewatch of Newsroom just like Popculture,
probably,
which I will probably be doing too. And I suggest everyone out there in internet land, either watching live tonight or in the future, where you should absolutely hit like, by the way. Subscribe if you feel like it, but hit like, it helps us out. It really does. So do it right now if you haven't, please. I don't have to beg.
Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. If you haven't watched that, it's another Aaron Sorkin greatness.
It's actually one of my prized DVDs. I love the fact that I got the disc and I'm like, yeah, that there should be a whole like 12 seasons of this. There should be a pack, but it's just a single box. It makes me sad but happy.
Such a good show that was cut in its prime. Like
And it's
so many
actually
others.
one of the reasons that we're doing this show, Paul, because it's one of the things that we talked about way back when we met, and everybody else in the room hadn't ever heard of Studio 60. It was one of the many things that made other people not want to talk to us when we got rabidly talking about the best bits of this, that, or the other.
It's so good. Such a good show. But yeah, the West Wing is one of the most politicized. It's like a perfect show explaining everything politics and stuff in a very kind of nicely balanced kind of way. The characters are all fantastic. Like, it's just a really good Aaron Sorkin show, and like that's all I can say about it.
Nobody does a hallway conversation like Aaron Sorkin. Where else are you going to get that? We're walking and we're moving from one room to another, and we've got more exposition, dialogue, and story movement with every footstep than anybody else can manage. The guy can pile it in. Fair play to him, though.
Pretty much.
Then I'll go with my rewatches. This could spiral out of control, so put a clock of like 30 seconds or 60 seconds on me. We've been watching House just because I've seen them all, but my partner was like, I've seen some, I haven't seen others, and we needed something to break the spiral of trying to decide what to watch. So we'll throw on one episode of House, and then we found one episode of House was our comfort food. It was our, well, we just do one episode of House. When you might be thinking, we'll watch a movie. We have a time for a movie and one episode of something. Let's do one
Yeah.
episode of House. It's the real thing now. It's like we'll just look at each other, eating the dinner. One episode of House. Because House is easy and House is fun. You know what you're gonna get, and I'm digging it. It's been a long time since I watched any, so it's been a fun rewatch. What was more of an emotional journey is on the other side of the screen, though. For those of you that know me in real life, and Paul, you've heard me talk about my love of Lost and my hatred of Lost. Because let's face it, that first season of Lost, it's hard not to say there's genius in there. Even the second season. But you know what? It still does come down to how they headed towards the end, and you're like, what are you doing? And I know a lot of people disagree with me and are like, oh, you're just being too harsh, yada, yada, yada. No, I stick to it. I rewatched all of Lost just so that I could reaffirm my belief that it wasn't just younger me. I still believe the same thing. Lost is fantastic. Until it isn't. And
Yeah.
that last episode is cop-out central. I don't care if they're all happily ever after in their, and no spoilers, in wherever they might be suggested that they're being together or why they're intersecting. They copped out on having a mystery show with nothing but mysteries, then trying to answer some of them, then having loads of filler episodes for all sorts of political, business, and other network reasons. It's not all quality, but even the bad stuff isn't as bad as their lowest ebb, which was just bailing out and pulling the chute on, we're really going to follow through and end this well. Fight me in the comments. I look forward to the engagement. It also helps our SEO. I will be there after the show. But yeah, so Lost, everybody rewatch it if you loved how it ended. If you just loved how it all started, I suggest you rewatch it still, because it actually holds up really quite well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. My partner hasn't watched this, so we started watching this. I remembered how much I really loved it. Then it got to an episode that I was just like, "Oh, I hate this episode," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna start happening more and more as we get closer to the end." So yeah, I was just like, just sitting there, kind of going, like, my partner was just like, "I really like this episode," and I was just like, "Yeah, it's great." And then you get to the next episode, and she was just like, "Oh, now I hate it." And I was like, "Yep, there you go." So yeah, it's an interesting kind of one. So
Also, for anybody out there who's watched Lost, it is exactly as you remember. Walt, my boy, Walt, my boy, my boy, Walt. That's one whole thing that you will have ringing in your head. And also, my baby, my baby, my baby, my baby. There was some lack of character development for a couple of people, and there seemed to be a lack of script. That I think they just handed them the same third sheet every time they were filming, and were like, "Claire, at this point, you scream, 'my baby,' at which point, across the beach, somebody else will go, 'What? My boy, Walt? No, my baby.'" It becomes hard at times to deal with that.
It's I can't.
Yeah,
I can't say anymore. Just those. You just wish that they were either never found, or that the two people looking for them were killed quite quickly. Because you're just like, I can't go through another episode of just hearing, "What? What? Have you seen my boy? What?" Like,
yeah. Anyway, if you can't face Lost, I still can recommend House. Paul, I'm picking your next one out of order because it's been mentioned in the comments. If that's okay. Also, in the comments, I'd like to say, I'm glad I kind of figured Popculture would have Studio 60 on DVD, knowing that you're into Sorkin and also knowing that you're into physical media. But also, Ben, I'm not even reading your, Sorkin being a stickler for dialogue. Did you see how Ben joined the comments with some bad pun analogy or pun usage, and then said hello? Shame on you. That means you're getting your plug early. Paul, what do you do when you're not doing Hear Us Out? Let us know what else
Oh,
you got going on.
yeah, I also do a D&D show called Homebrew Quest, which is a um, custom homemade or homemade D&D show, which was I'm doing terrible for this plug.
It's D
No,
and
no,
D
no,
and
no, no,
D,
no, no.
D and D and
So
drinks, and it's great.
yeah, it's D&D drinks and also based on Irish mythology, which is really good. And then we also use spells and name things and everything with the drinks, the names of the drinks that we drink. So it's good. It's real fun. And I'm only a new character, so that's really well, not a new character, but I've only been in it for a very short a time. I was teching it for a long time.
You've been involved with the excellent crew over there. Bunch of talented people, being very, very charming. If it's your thing, get into it. If it's not your thing, give them a go. They might make it your thing. Also, when you're done hitting like, just in case you haven't on this video, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Well, particularly comment on our stuff. But then get over there. It should be as standard in our links down below. If it's not, let's double check. Go visit our friends. Give them support. They've been so good to us. Now, Paul, the thing that was mentioned that I've got to get back to, though, is the Foundation. Again, something that we talked about recently because of Apple bloody TV.
Yeah.
Shout at Cloud.
Yeah, it's been difficult to get it, I'll be honest. Apple TV. So I now have Apple TV, by the way. So I decided to plunge into the world of Apple TV. I've got the little Apple TV thing. So
wow.
Yeah, decided to pay for another service. If the Foundation continues on, I will have no problem with it. I'm really enjoying the Foundation.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was deadpan. This might get better, and they've not broken my heart, but you're loving it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's a beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful, like, TV shows I've watched.
Cool.
It's really nice sets, really nice camera work. It's really nice kind of contrast between certain things and stuff, which is really cool and really nice to see because you need that kind of contrast stuff, to kind of differentiate where you are in the massive universe. My question is because I'm watching Dune tomorrow.
Oh, first night. Yeah, of course. I should have guessed.
Yeah, watching it and in IMAX.
You didn't even have to say it, Paul. It was assumed.
Yeah. So, my interest is which one of these am I going to think is more beautiful? Yeah, like I've seen the Dune production shots and everything like that, and it looks gorgeous. Foundation is really good looking right now, so like I'm really interested kind of coming out of Dune and just been like, that's a really good movie, I really enjoyed it, but Foundation looks way better.
High praise for a TV show to be able to hit that level. Shame they're not on an actual streaming service. I'm still angry, still sorry, but at least you've got it now, which means we've really got to talk about COVID rules and how much how you feel about me calling round to watch a load of Ted Lasso and Foundation. I gotta get bloody Apple TV now. I'm not gonna be able to fight it forever. But I want to ask Popculture, how are you getting on with it? Because I know you're a commenter. 3 episodes in, have some thoughts. Oh, and the thoughts have just appeared just as I needed them. So thank you for the comment. Foundation is the most beautiful world building show, even up to par with movies. Exactly what Paul was just saying. All right, guys. So at the weekend, I'm getting Apple TV. Let's move on. Damn it! Stop costing me money.
I've watched. I think I'm up to. Let me just find. I'm just going to double check how many episodes I have watched. I've watched all 5 that have come out so far.
Well, I'll watch all 6 by the time I get my Apple TV sorted out.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous show, which is just a complete surprise to me. So
I just want to say to my wife, if she's watching, we're not eating dinner for another week because we got to get another streaming service. Pick your favorite cat because we can't keep them both. We got to get Apple TV now.
I know. Just the build up of the amount of services that I have now, I'm just It's just so much.
It's becoming comical. Anyway, Paul, I'm gonna go for the last thing that I'm bringing up because it's also on your list. That means we both watched it, which means the conversation should be mighty. I think other people may have watched it. Do you want to know
Oh yeah.
why? Because it's the most watched thing in the history of watched things and talked about things on Netflix. It's Squid Game. Not just doing this for the SEO folks, although we would have. We're not above that. I don't think that we have standards. This
Yeah.
isn't journalism. This is people on YouTube. Squid Game. Your thoughts, because mine are going to be, and I warn you all, are going to be not probably as positive.
It's good. I enjoyed it. It's a good show, good characters, very on par on what other Korean or anime type like shows I've watched. It's very cerebral in its analytics of every single thing that could go on. So it's very much, yeah. It's very much a it's a very much a good show. It's very much up my alley kind of thing. It reminds me of an anime called Eden of the East, which is very cerebral as well. So,
And
like, yeah,
this is why I love it when you say something that I can directly disagree with, because it makes good YouTube. I didn't hate Squid Game. I enjoyed Squid Game. I think the premise for Squid Game is excellent. I'm going to try and stop saying Squid Game. The show is good. I would say good to mediocre in some ways. I understand that if it's evocative of anime for you, that's a good thing. For me, that's not a great thing. It took some of its premise and lost its way, and it's particularly around that notion of being cerebral, of being uh, an analysis or using its premise to show how people won't act, think, what pressures. They relied on the you'll think about what would you do, and it didn't delve as much into actually with the number of characters that they had to really give any sort of nuance to social behavior and group psychology in what is a crazily absurd situation. It did, but it did it in a light TV kind of way for me. Where they went hard and where they went heavy was on the okay, this is going to hurt a lot. So for me, this was the one show that I watched going, I love a lot of things about this. Its pacing was a little bit ropey. I think it could have been an episode or two shorter. But it was the one thing that I thought, I wish this wasn't a huge success because it's really enjoyable. And somebody else would have taken it and possibly had a chance to really use this as a proper examination of society and psychology. Again, I'm being harsh on it, and I know I'm going to be in the minority, folks. So please don't hate me long term for this. Let's just have this Squid Game moment. I get exactly what it was doing, and I do think that it did it well. I do maintain that there is at least one or two of the actors that you must have been like, well, that was a bit overhammed, even from I'm taking cultural style and film style into account. Some of it was an extra few bars of or an extra few frames of anime, let's say. But yeah, I thought Squid Game was good, and I wouldn't even just say overrated. I'd say it was really good. It had a smell of missed opportunity, and it was just inconsistent for me.
see,
Bring on the hate,
I
everyone.
I guess the cerebralness was not as much as a kind of cross section of group psychology or society psychology. It was more the fact is that like it does a very long thought process for each character when they're trying to like not for each character but for loads of the characters, as in kind of like they sit there and they kind of like I gotta analyze what's going on and what like it's very internal and everything like that. That's very much Asian kind of anime and Korean shows and stuff like that. So that kind of element. It's my thing is that with South Korea's kind of like society makeup, I do agree that there was a missed opportunity about a kind of viewing a social happen or like social behavior. My thing is that so like South Korean culture is very much like the like it's very kind of hierarchy,
hierarchical. But
yeah,
also
kind of thing.
you got to
So
admit though,
like,
it's not South Korean culture to have someone ham it up just as much as some people did for some of their delivery. I get it that that's more akin to anime and some other Korean productions, but I don't know if that's a fair reflection of there are people who are just that hammy
yeah, yeah.
on the
There's a lot
street.
of them.
You think?
If you're specifically talking about one character,
I haven't
there
spent
I
enough time on the streets of Seoul, so I'll cede to you on this one. But
as in like the amount in K drama and like the movies and stuff like that. There's always one character like that, and they are very hammy. Like if you watch any of their game shows or anything,
I've watched a lot of
hammy.
Korean stuff like Train to Busan. There is a whole section where it stops to make sure it does that in a train toilet. Like there's I get that part, and I can see Ben doing two things, being Ben and punning himself around the place here. Stop that, Ben. But also pointing out that I might be holding it to too high a standard because that wasn't one necessarily what they were going for. I think that's a very fair comment and a good criticism of what I said because I'm maybe being a bit of an arse here, but it's the only thing I can do to avoid me calling it what it is, which was a good show. It was a gimmick show, and there's nothing wrong with that. And its gimmick was its premise, and that's cool. But to say that, and I'm really trying not to spoil anything, there is an investigative character in this whose story is, let's say, non-consequential. And again, I'm really being careful because I know there are people who've commented that they haven't watched it yet. That kind of sends it to me of, yep, there was some wasted pages in here. There was definitely some wasted pages. Not not picking on the show. Didn't hate the show. My wife loved it. It ended. She was like, "You're gonna end up being an arse about this, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am. I think it was very good, but bring out my high horse. I must climb it now." And that's just me being me. I am a terrible person in this way. I'm not gonna say that nobody should watch it. I actually think it's well worth a watch. It just that this is
I'm
the thing that caught on worldwide. I would have loved it not to and been done just that bit better.
okay. Um, that's
Speak for the majority there, Paul, because we need people
yeah.
to
See,
watch this channel and they've got to like
it's
one
I
of us.
guess my problem is no. It's just I think I have a problem with that last type of, which is you would have preferred this not to have caught on and to be done better. I'm more kind of like this is just going to allow a lot of people into like essentially the kind of TV and film industry within probably South Korea, which
I'm
is
not talking about
great
locally
stuff.
South Korea. I'm talking about the premise. This
Oh
is don't
no, no,
don't
no, but
turn that
but
into a regional thing because I'm very happy for.
no, no,
And
no. I'm
I've
just
many times been
I'm just saying
throwing
that
out how
like
much I
you
love
saying that
Korean
this
cinema.
version of the show you wish didn't catch on is a bit like I'm just saying that it's good. It's good that this got on, and because I think that like the K kind of movies and TV shows are like
Yeah,
spiking
and
in
I'm
popularity
going to
and
do
stuff like
that
that.
thing one more time, Paul. When I make sure you didn't just mischaracterize what I said as not being happy for a success for Korea, because you know what I was saying was nothing to do with Korea, right?
Oh yeah,
Right.
I'm saying this
So
version of the film. I'm just saying,
yeah,
you
I'm saying this telling of this
okay,
particular premise.
okay,
So yeah, and on that we
because
better
I
move
don't.
on to your last one, because we're about to hit time.
Which is yeah, we can go to the rookie, which is Nathan Fillion since we were talking about him. Um, oh no, actually, the rookie's really good. I won't go to that Midnight Mass because it's a Halloween show. Midnight Mass is really really good. It's based kind of on some Stephen King elements. It's also based loosely on a movie called Midnight Mass, kind of thing. It's one of the three kind of collections of horror series that's been going on, which is Haunted or Hill House, Bly Manor, and this is the third one in the kind of like series. So I will recommend those for Halloween if you can. All the characters are fantastic. They are great characters in this
Cool.
show, which because yeah, each one of them are very interesting and stuff. There hasn't been. I watched this, I think, within a day, like, so that shows you how kind of I wasn't. It's not many episodes, but I couldn't encapsulate any kind of like, um, couldn't encapsulate more of like, or it captured me quite well. It's not overly scary or anything like that. It's more intriguing about the whole thing. Kind of, so like Bly Manor and Hill House are a lot more kind of like creepy, jump scary, kind of haunted housey kind of things, which is really really good. Which goes Midnight Mass is kind of a little bit more thought provoking, I guess would be a really good term, in the sense of kind of a parallel between two things, which I can't really say because if I say it will ruin, like you'll be thinking along those tracks for the entire series. So, but I do recommend watching this, especially for Halloween and stuff. So that's a really good one.
Good to end on a Halloween recommendation. I didn't have imagery for that, Paul. Sorry, my fault. Brew says he'll check out Midnight Mass. Brew, I know you like a good scary movie too. So let us know in the comments down below what you thought of it after the watch. Paul, we're going to finish before the hour tonight. We've already given the homebrew plug. I think it's time to anybody who's watching this right now. You can see some great comments coming from a little old channel called Popculture. Get yourself over there too. Finally managed to link you properly on our page. Thank the YouTube gods for fixing the link that they had for you to actually allow it to be recognized. So go and check out his fine work, and obviously come back and check out ours every week. I almost felt I shouldn't direct people away so much. Stay here, watch all our stuff. But yeah, so you want to say happy Halloween and get us out of here, or do you want to tell them that we have a Halloween episode coming up?
Yeah, we've a Halloween episode coming up, which will be really fun, and we also will probably do a special on Dune once both of us have seen us and probably talk about it. So I think we're going to watch it twice. We're going to watch it separately so we can kind of get our thoughts together, and then probably watch it together, which will be real fun, because it's been a long time since we've watched a movie together.
A very long time.
And I also want to know your thoughts on which goes Venom 2. I haven't got to see it yet, but
and you owe me a Quiet Place 2 verdict as well, so there will be much talking done. Some of it will be done live on the internet on a Thursday night. Thank you all for joining us now. All you future people, thank you for joining us whenever it is that you're joining us. And with that said, we'll see you next week. I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Hearside. And we'll see you very, very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye.